a little closer. I love it. That's so dope.
The nappy roots.
The nappy roots. Oh, no. That's so dope.
What a jam.
Hell yeah. Man.
All right. So, let me introduce ourselves. This is Jocks with Docs podcast. I am Doc Smith, former Navy Corpsman. I live in Virginia, and this gentleman here that looks like Shamar Moore.
Let's stop.
I'll allow him to introduce himself.
All right. I'm Travis Wilbridge, Doc Will, former Navy Corpsman from Los Angeles, California, living currently in Racine, Wisconsin. This, again, as Brad alluded, this is Jocks by Docs. It's a new podcast, and I'll let you take it away, Brad.
Yeah, so we kind of figured we'd start doing a podcast, just interested in talk about stuff that most people are interested in. We're interested in sports, entertainment, music, whatever it is. We'll discuss it, especially what current events are in the sports world and everything. So we figured, people might be interested in maybe hearing our opinion or maybe not. So it's something fun to do. So I guess the first thing, we can probably talk about that's big right now is Aaron Judge. How many is he going to hit? Or is he going to hit one tonight? Or when is he going to hit one? Or what number is he going to end up leaving off at?
Yeah, so it's exciting. He's at 60 now, and he's a right-handed batter, right? So that's significant in the AL because Roger Maris and Babe Ruth were lefties, right? So they held the record. Well, he just tied Babe, right? And so 61's Roger Maris. So it's exciting times. Even if you're not a Yankee fan, right? You're a Cardinal fan. I'm a Dodger fan, and we follow it. Another exciting thing is Pujols. So we'll just kind of transition to that, and I could speak on a little, then I'll let you take it home on Pujols. But yeah, to me, and you and I have talked before, he's to me a top 3 hitter, no doubt. First ballot Hall of Famer. I hope he gets in unanimously. We'll see. Just a consummate professional hitter, clubhouse guy, family man, you name it. It's Pujols. He's got 2 rings with you guys? 2 with the Cardinals?
Yep, 2006 and 2011.
Yep. So, and I still think they should have one more. And you know which year that you guys got kind of screwed, right? You guys got kind of screwed on that. But 2 is still amazing, though. I mean, you guys are still. Is it a major market in St. Louis? It's not a small market anymore, like people say it is. But it's not Chicago. It's not LA. It's definitely not New York and Boston, right? So,
but I think they have the 7th highest payroll in Major League Baseball. I want to say 7th or something like it's up there.
Yeah, you guys are in the top 10.
Surprising actually how their payroll actually is.
Correct. Yeah, and that's mainly not your pitching though, which is usually the opposite way for the Cardinals, right? It's usually all the pitching, and then you might have a hitter or 2. Well, now you got hitters all over the place. You got Arenado on a massive contract, and he's definitely worthy, right? And his goal, him at third base, I honestly, defensively, the best I've ever seen play. The hot corner, third base.
Yeah.
You might want to throw up Mike Schmidt for the Phillies. Who else at third? Was
Brooks Robinson.
Definitely Brooks.
Scott Rowland.
Some people say Cal Ripken. He was good, but he was no Scott Rowland. No. He was no Scott Rowland at third because you got to have the arm. It's not just you can get to make the play. Can you make the throw? Arenado, he makes plays no one else can make. No one.
I've never seen half.
Not even Machado, and Manny Machado.
Had one over the weekend where
which
he was
one? Where
on his knees and threw it to home.
What about the one where he was literally in the? I mean, he was in the stands pretty much with the fans and threw the ball across and got the guy by a step. I mean, where do you do this at? He catches it.
But then they had one like earlier in the season, or actually I guess a couple months ago, where the ball hit like in front of the plate, bounced up, and then he barehanded it.
Barehands it.
I'm like this, and Goldschmidt's like just smiling because he's just like, this
but
is
it's
nuts.
routine. It's routine for Nolan. It's a joke.
And it's crazy. Like he has even said like that he practices all these, different scenarios that's going to, possibly happen. Different difficult throws. Like he practices in case any of that stuff ever happens.
Yeah. So to get back
nuts.
Yeah. To get back to the rest of, so you were talking about Goldschmidt to another who I think is going to be on the trajectory to be a Hall of Famer. Especially if he stays in St. Louis. I don't see how you guys let him leave town.
No.
So
no,
he never should have left Arizona. But
no. Yeah, I think he is
locked up for what? 4 more years, I think,
he's in 3 or 4, because I think he signed in 2018.
But
I think is when he signed. And he signed he did a 6-year extension, I think.
Yes, I thought it was 5 years with the player option, the six years of player option, yeah. Because they wanted him to go to DH, I'm sure. By then he'll be 35, so he can now with the DH in the National League, right? That does help. Kind of like the reason why Pujols never should have left St. Louis. But had they had the DH,
he would have been fine. He would have
been fine. Yeah, and then he wouldn't have ruined those 5 years in Anaheim or LA. It was so stupid.
And I think like that's the things I think a lot of people don't think about or look at. I think the last couple of years in LA and why he had such down years, because he had decent years from 2012 to like 2015. He was still putting up decent numbers. I think maybe even 2016. Yeah. But if you look at after that, the last couple of years, his production really went down. I think he was just unhappy in LA. I don't know if he did not.
No, he missed
the environment. I was going to say, I think that's the biggest thing is especially when he came back last year, and he got the standing ovation, or was it the year before he got the standing ovation with the Angels. And I think that's really what set him, on a course trying to get back to St. Louis.
Yeah, because he enjoyed his time in the 1 year with the Dodgers because they were so good. Right. But he did not enjoy his time in LA with the Angels. I wish he never would have left. I don't think he's still going to retire Cardinal, so it doesn't matter. So he goes in.
And he'll go in the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal.
Absolutely, wearing his 5 years. With his.
Which I don't know how his contract is, because we signed that. I guess the 10-year service contract after the Angels. I guess is that null and void? Yeah. Since they released him, is he no longer beholden to that 10-year contract?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's in baseball there's no buyout like you can in NBA. There's no buyout, right. So I think they just voided the contract, and then that's when he signed that 1-year deal with the Dodgers. Remember, but it was all incentive based. You get 250 at bats. It's extra $500,000 or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he didn't make shit with the Dodgers. But he's already made over $400 million in salary, and that's without endorsements. Right. Fat Albert is okay. He's doing okay. Him and his wife, his children they'll be fine.
Former wife, because they're going through a divorce.
But you still have to pay though alimony. Yeah. I know.
Boy, he got raked over the rails for that.
Yeah,
too.
She got him pretty good.
Everybody was like, everybody was like giving him crap about it. I'm like, no one knows even the circumstances of why they got
they tried to
in
work
the first
things
place.
Out. Yeah, they had filed for divorce before she did, and this is a few years ago, and they tried to work things out. So,
okay,
it's not our relationship, right? I'm about to say, it's not
I don't know why people cared so much. They're like, oh my god. Well, I guess it was a big deal because he announced at the same time she was having her cancer surgery or whatever. So everybody thought it was bad timing, but it was like, they probably discussed it, so it's up to them.
I was about to say, she's the one that filed anyways. So.
Right.
It's
I'll be anxious to see if he actually hopefully gets to 700. I think there's only like 14 games left.
Yeah, 14 or 15, He should get it,
was hitting them at a pretty good rate, but, I mean, he has said that
he only needs 2 more.
Get to 700. Yeah.
Right. But he's going to do it. Don't worry. He might do it this weekend, like I told you.
Yeah.
I hope he does it in one game because that'll make it even more special because then it'll put him up there for the most multi-homer games ever, too, because he's already in the top 3.
Yeah. And he really, like I said, I think he only needs 10 or 11, something like that, 10 or 11 RBIs to get to pass Ruth and take over second place in doubles.
Oh, and for doubles though too.
Or not? Oh yeah, doubles. I forget what number.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I
like for
consider
RBIs
Pujols
for
more
the-
of a line drive hitter than a power hitter, because even though Pujols hit a lot
Yeah.
of home runs, he would tell you too, he wasn't trying to hit the home runs like Babe and
right.
Hank Aaron.
He was just trying to get run
Line
production.
drive.
That's all he cared
Yeah,
about.
it just so happens he's got such a sweet swing that he was kind of doing the launch angle before everyone else was doing it. Remember, he was getting he would get air. He gets serious air on his hits. So
That's crazy, like how he ended up changing his swing. I think I saw a video or whatever that they interview that he did talking about how like originally like his first 10 years or whatever in St. Louis, how he was more planted on his feet or how his more lower body was hitting, and then once he had issues with his feet, was plantar fasciitis, he ended up having to switch up his swing.
yep.
And I guess more upper body was what he had to go towards, and that's kind of what he's done the last several years.
Yeah, which is crazy because when you look at his base, he's tree trunks, right? I mean, he's all lower body. Not that he's not strong, but he's all lower body. A lot like, remember Jeff Bagwell?
Yeah.
I mean, he would squat, look like he was taking
he had a weird fucking stance.
Weird stance, but that's where he generated that power, that that hip thrust. Yep. So
and freaking Bagwell's he was a fucking tree trunk too. I mean, that guy was.
Oh my God, man! That guy was just he lived in the gym. Not many baseball players are like that. There's a few. I can think of another one. You remember Ron Gant for the Braves? I mean, the guy was just built like a shit brick house and lived in the gym. When you think baseball players, you don't think the gym. Definitely not. But I mean,
no,
you want to make sure you're still physically fit because it's 162 games. So to ask you about what do you think about, not to switch the subject there too quick, but transition into what do you think? Because I know this is what they're talking about with the union, right? This is the fight. What do you think about lowering it from 162 games to 110? I know that was the first proposed 110. So 52 games.
That's a huge number.
That's significant.
I mean, it could be a benefit towards the players as far as, longevity goes, because most of them, I mean, there's a lot of them that don't have a 20 to, 22-year career. That's very few that you actually see that have that length of career. So for them to, I mean, it works out. You take a guy, like Mike Trout. I mean, he's, I think, in his early 30s. So, I mean, is he going to last, another 8 seasons, with the issues that he's had recently at 162 games? Or is he going to, the 110 games, are they going to prolong his career than it typically would? Because you got a lot of guys that, they'll play 150-some games, and then 2 or 3 years later, they're down to 78 or whatever because they're missing half the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was about to say, could be a benefit.
So let's keep it real. The benefit players, but then the owners are going to come back, right? Because this is a union, right? It's a bargain. So owners are going to come back. If you're going to play 52 less games, we're going to start.
Salaries are going to go down.
The salaries are going to go down, and not only your salary is going to go down, but now if the season's shorted, guess what? They're going to look at spring training.
Yep.
So instead of pitchers and catchers reporting in February, because the season won't be drawn out into October. Remember this year it's going into November. Remember,
right.
So it's not going to be like that every year, I don't think. But because of what's going on, I think we'll see. So I don't know. Baseball union is, you got the MLBPA, they're pretty strong, but then you have the owners. It's strong. There's no salary cap in baseball. I actually like that. I'm one of the few who do like it. I just don't think there should be a salary cap in baseball. It's not like football. You don't have 53 players, so you don't need a salary cap. The NBA doesn't have a hard cap, right? It's a soft cap. So if you want to go over the luxury tax, same thing with baseball now, right? I think the luxury tax, who was the highest this year? The Mets, right? Mets are 1 and Dodgers.
Mets, Dodgers, yeah. And I think a lot of times, like the salary cap for Major League Baseball is kind of somewhat over. I mean, it used to be a big thing where, you had the Dodgers and the Mets or whoever, Yankees, that had
Yeah.
huge payroll. But then we've seen over the last, 20 years or whatever, that really the team with the highest salary didn't matter.
Correct.
A lot of them didn't win the World Series.
I was about to say.
Look at the Royals in 2015. I mean, they had one of the lowest, payrolls or whatever,
The Tampa Bay Rays, yeah.
The Oakland A's. I mean, just constantly, teams that have low payrolls but, can produce. I mean, it don't matter. If you get in the playoffs, the 06 Cardinals proved it,
Just
or
get
was
in.
it? Yeah,
Just
get in and then get on a hot streak, and then that's all that matters.
Yeah, kind of like the Braves last year. Remember struggling
Right.
the whole year? Didn't even win the NL East, right?
Right.
And then they got hot. Freddie,
That's all it takes.
Acuna, they get hot at the same time. And then you get the pitching
Right.
going. So, yep, that's all it takes. So we'll see. This year should be fun in baseball, though, because you got a lot of, especially in the National League. I think the American League is 2 teams, Yankees, Astros.
Right.
But I think in the National League, you got 4 teams. You got the Cardinals, you got the Dodgers, you got the Mets, and you got the Braves. Those 4.
Right.
So 6 teams, I think, can win it this year. And usually in baseball, realistically, there's only 3 or 4 teams. So this year, it's double that.
Right.
So I do think it's going to be interesting and fun.
Which I think we talked like last night. I think it's mostly going to come down. I don't foresee the Mets going long into the playoffs. I don't see their. I mean, when you just got Scherzer and DeGrom, I mean, they do have a third starter that's, I forget what his name is, but he's pretty good. Yeah,
Bassett,
he's pretty good. But, I mean, it's just you got 2 guys that you're relying on that have health issues. I just don't see them going deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I actually believe in DeGrom and Scherzer if they can stay healthy. My worry for the Mets, if you're a Mets fan, would be their lineup. They just don't have the length. You can pitch around Lindor and Alonso.
Right.
Their leadoff hitter, Brandon Nimmo, is good. He gets on base. He's actually, I think, he's got the highest OBP in baseball. He walks a lot. But again, if your length is only 1 or 2 hitters, that's not going to be enough in the playoffs, especially if they do have one.
Especially going. Yeah,
can you imagine if Scherzer has the dead arm
like
again?
The Dodgers.
Yeah,
and you go against the Dodgers. I mean, they've got from top to bottom. I mean, it's just,
1 through 9.
It's right.
You don't get a break, and
same
that's why
way with the Braves. I mean, you've got Dansby Swanson, you've got Acuna, you've got Matt Olson, you've got. I mean, they've got Michael Harris is having a heck of a season. I mean, just top to bottom, they're stacked too, and it's just like, and their pitching is really
and their
good.
pitching,
young
Strider
kid.
and Morton.
Oh my God, that kid is nuts!
It's crazy throwing 99,
200 Ks this year.
Yeah, as a rookie. Yeah,
like
he broke the record. By Smoltz, John Smoltz.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nuts that they have a heck of a team.
And then they got what's the lefty they got? Max Fried. So they got depth. And then Kenley Jansen, he struggled, but now he's starting to be locked down. He looks like he was for the Dodgers. So for the back end, they're pretty strong. Yeah, the Braves do worry me. I told you, we talked about this last night too. The Braves and the Cardinals, as a Dodger fan, worry me the most. And for obvious reasons with the Cardinals, because you guys have our number in the postseason. Kershaw's looked good again. So
I think this year too, like the thing about the Cardinals really made some smart moves during the trade deadline that like really I think they won the trade deadline. They kind of under the radar moves that everybody was like, what the heck are they doing? Everybody's focused on Soto and thinking, oh, well, the Cardinals going to get Soto. The Cardinals going to get Soto. Well, that ship has sailed, and it was like he got priced out by San Diego. So then it was like, okay, let's turn to Quintana and Montgomery at the last minute, and those moves have just worked off wonderfully. And now the Cardinals could potentially have 7 starters pitching in the postseason, which before that was their weakness at the beginning of the season. They had
nobody.
Like, what was going to happen?
Other than Wainwright was a constant, and
Michaelis
and Michaelis, and some younger pitchers, but
and Flaherty ended up getting injured. They were expecting him to have a bounce back season, and then he was just hurt. And then Matz came in. Everybody was expecting Matz to have a really good season, because he had for Toronto, so they expected him to do well. And I think he tried doing too much at the early beginning. He was trying to prove himself on the contract he signed.
Even though he did good in Toronto, he was real good for them.
Right.
What about who else did you guys get? Oh, Montgomery. We talked about another lefty too, because that's who you needed, a lefty to neutralize the Dodgers bats, because we got power from the left hand side. So do the Braves from the left hand side. So you get bringing a lefty. Montgomery's been in the American League, but hey, he came to the National League, and I think his first 2 games he had like a .5 ERA.
Yeah,
he's looking like
lights out.
Lights out, and he still pitched very good. You guys are just playing much better teams over the last 3 weeks of the season. So,
and the thing, once you start getting towards September, I think it gets harder and harder for a lot of pitchers and even batters to sustain that longevity. I mean, you're getting towards the end, you're worn out. Like you said, 162 game season is starting to, wear on you, and this is kind of when things start dying down too, as far as some of the players get a lot of rest to prepare for the playoffs. So it's, once you get to this part in the season, I mean, Wainwright right now, he's dealing with dead arm. So hopefully,
but that's been the last couple, I think 2 or 3 seasons for Adam. But he knows what he needs.
Right. Yep. I don't think we'll get the second. Yeah, I don't think we'll get that second spot. I think that Atlanta's probably still going to get that, unfortunately. Right. By 30 freaking games. God, that's just insane. I can't remember a team. Like, I guess Seattle was the last team that had 100 and some wins, wasn't it? Like this many. That's just crazy, though. Yep, it looks like yours, Travis' device is not capable to record. Due to the hardware limitations. We'll have to see how it does, like, after we do the editing and everything, if it's still good. Yep, you're starting to cut out now. Well, I think you froze. All right, well, we will end on that note for the evening, because it looks like having some technical difficulties. So hopefully the podcast for tomorrow evening will be a little bit lengthier. So this was about 20 minutes. But thank you guys for listening to us and watching, and hopefully you enjoy it. I think we'll try to come up with some more content, and keep putting it out there, and hopefully like it and subscribe to us and watch it. Share with your friends, share with your family. Try to get as much momentum as we can to get as many followers and everything as we can, or people to subscribe. We don't have any sponsors yet, so hopefully we'll work it on getting some sponsorships. So we'll have that up there for everyone to give you some ad details. But in the meantime, I guess we can, advertise Gold Peak Tea. Stuff is amazing. Or was it Brothers Barbecue? Barbecue's so good, make you want to slap your mama. Anyway, you guys have a good day. Enjoy it, and take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Have a good day.